to win a series. Let's go ahead and go into game number 2. Leftovers pick Towers of Doom, which is appropriate. Yesterday, this is where they got their first win.
Exactly. So pick your strongest map. What is our strongest map? Well, the only map where we ever won a game.
Which, to point out, also, it's a situation where they were actually pretty far behind Method. The main thing was that they were able to find a moment where they broke their opponent, got a few kills in, and then were able to macro their way to a victory. I think it's one of the best things that is good here for Leftovers, where they should try to excel. Try to find an early game advantage somewhere, whether it's be in a bell tower, whether it be in kills, get some experience, because when they have a talent advantage, they know how to run with it. It's just a matter of getting there.
Yes, I want to agree, but they had problems in the past where they got ahead and then they fell behind.
Sure.
Volskaya with Nova comes to mind.
That's
you know,
true.
They had like both. They had both types of games. You're absolutely right that oftentimes they need to come back into the game and they try to make the effort. But I think over watching like all of their games, the impression that I was left with was just simply there was a lot of inexperience. And I think that can help them in both situations, when they get ahead to hold the advantage and when they're behind to make sure that they have a comeback potential.
It's all about learning here for Leftovers. Abathur banned out, Malfurion banned out as well. Very similar bans to what we saw in game number 1. Zealots thinking about their first pick. Will Blaze become something that they worry about here? Because Leftovers has shown that they want it. Even Method banned it out a couple times yesterday.
Blaze is by now first pick potential, and to be honest, we have seen him as an early ban, but I would not be surprised if Blaze is now starting to rise farther and farther up in priority and will be an early ban. And again, we have no Genji banned out, we have no Hanzo banned out, so Abathur is consistently being banned, but the obsession that we had on all regions with banning out Genji early on has completely passed now. So, and in Europe, we haven't even seen him in the last game, so he was neither picked or banned, and that is becoming more and more of a trend, since Genji, while adding a lot of aggression and adding a lot of threat potential, hasn't really found the win ratio that it would warrant the high priority that he had before. But Blaze, on the other hand, has such an impact. The teams are at this point just saying, first pick, let's just make sure we get him immediately.
Dehaka and Uther comes on. And it seems like playing Genji into Blaze just feels like a bad idea because of that bunker. The Dragon Blade coming in, it's too hard to find those kills and secure them. The armor helping out, and also just being able to dodge on the Dragon Blade seems like a really good tool for stopping that Genji aggression that's coming your way, especially when you add on top of him having a hard time with wave clear. It just seems like you start to fall behind if you kind of pick up that Genji and don't have the proper macro to stay with the opposing team.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And also now that we have Uther, I mean, they could still play. I feel in this setup they could still play Genji just because Hanzo's on the other side.
True.
So yes, Bunker is a great tool and a defensive one, but you could try and make your play there. But again, I like the drafting from both ends. Look at the Tacita ban. Immediately identifying, yes, they play Hanzo again. They like that double support. We picked Uther already, but let's make sure that they can't go these double support Hanzo styles that they have shown in the past. We have Uther taken by Leftovers. That also goes very far away from what we've seen with those high Rega priorities. We talked about that. They are focusing Uther now way more, and it's absolutely in line with how much Uther is recognized as a top healer in Europe, what kind of win ratio he has in Europe. So they are very much adapting to the meta, Leftovers that is. And Zealots are also reacting to what they've seen in the previous games, banning out Tracer here and saying, yeah, we're not going to deal with DAB again, especially since we are running Hanzo, who has a low hit point pool.
And it goes further, taking away the ETC, not allowing Lauber to have it here. Mopsio's good at ETC too, he doesn't mind playing it, but again, it's still reacting to your opponents and what they excel at. And the ETC coming online yesterday against Method showed that he still got it. So Lauber not going to be able to pick up that beef cow there. Tracer being banned out does mean that Leftovers will be moving into a different Assassins here. I'm more curious to see what they are going to build out. I mean, Greymane's still up and available, but is one that hasn't been doing too well against ETC Blaze. Hard to dive into that.
I still think that Leftovers are going to pick Greymane, and I would not be surprised to see Muradin again. Tychus Liming. Okay, not going for Greymane at all. The one part why this is really interesting to me is because I agree with what you said about Greymane going into the setup, but they played him 9 times. They have Greymane is actually, let me double check that real quickly. Yes, it's the hero they played by far the most. In more than half their games, they played Greymane. So this time they let him go, even though they could pick him up and go into a Tychus Liming combo instead. Really changing everything up from, like, I'm at this point really wondering if they changed their drafter.
Yeah.
If they switched out the person who drafts for them.
Could have been an evolution of the drafting too. We'll see, as Leftovers have definitely changed things up. Tychus and Li Ming here, and Zealots answer back with something that we see pretty often now, especially a little bit more lately. The Medivh, Rhaegar as well will be their healer.
Leftovers haven't said anything when I talked to them about changing the person who drafts. When I talked to Linked, I had really much the impression that they were talking about drafting a little bit more openly, but at this point it's so different from what we've seen before. It's a pretty... If they haven't changed out after I talked to Link, if they haven't changed out their drafter after I talked to him, I think they at least made the adjustment that they're saying, okay, another person has more of a say into what is being drafted right now. And whatever the changes was, I really like them. So completely different style. They have a global right now. They have Uther again. They have the stun follow up through the Stormbolt. We have Li Ming who can really just fire away. And Li Ming was also played in the game that they won against Method yesterday. DAB on these damage heroes is extremely strong. And we have Tychus in the mix as well, who can chunk the front line of Zealots down. Good draft on both ends. And yeah, I like what I'm seeing here.
Regardless, no matter who is drafting for Leftovers, we appreciate the development that is coming in from them. They are definitely learning from the lessons that they have been taught in their losses, and are starting to net them a couple of wins, but will it be enough here? You have Dahaka for that split pushing for the top and middle. You have Murden for the aggressive engages. It's all about whether or not DAB can be effective on that Li Ming, and if we can get resets. Tychus can do well at shredding a target, but Li Ming will have to have a difficult time trying to secure those kills if she can't land those combos.
Yeah, that's also where Medivh, again, as he said, comes into play, and the displacement that we see through ETC. The thing for me is if ETC can be the target. Because we know that Mopsio can be a bit emotional. If you can trigger him, I think that can really help you. So put pressure on the Mopsio. You have Tychus with the bigger they are. You have Li Ming there. If you can put the pressure on him, that can lead into some really iffy situations for Zealots, and that might be the key to victory here.
Yeah, it's just a matter of whether or not they have enough CC to land those kills. They have the Uther stun, and they have a Dahaka drag follow up, and they have Murden, so yeah, they should be able to. Let's go ahead and move into it. Game number 2, Towers of Doom. Leftovers up 1-0 over Zealots. Can they get a massive lead here, or will the Zealots tie up the series?
Game number 2, the Leftovers have taken the lead in our best of 5 here today, and our second map is Towers of Doom. As Leftovers pause the game here, apparently something on their end not 100%, and given the situation that they're in right now, they of course want to make sure that they can play these games without any technical difficulties.
Thinking about the level 1 talents. Do we want to go for a Stormbolt build with Murden? Should we go third wind, normal poke, try and be fine here? Should we go crazy with the Dahaka and change the build and change the meta? You know, questions going around. They're going to pause and get some time here.
Yeah, put yourself in their shoes. They haven't won, they're coming into this weekend, they haven't won a single map. Then they win a map against Method, which was already a success for them, and now all of a sudden they're in the lead in this series. So for Zealots, on the other hand, it's really a lot of pressure against them. You've been talking about how they still have hopes to go to the Western Clash.
Yeah.
Those hopes are, of course, non-existent if they lose the series today against Leftovers. So for them, this is one of those moments where I think you can shrug off the first map, but if you fall 0-2 behind, I think all of a sudden you are just constantly... you're constantly thinking about if you make one mistake, just one mistake in 3 games, and it could be in the end. So... it's a pretty tense situation already, and it's one of the reasons why I was looking forward to this even more than most of the games that we had this weekend, just because we have already this battle at the bottom of the standings. And as Snitch said yesterday when we interviewed him after Dignitas' victory over Fnatic, Europe is currently stacked so close that it's really just one match that can decide of whether you have to be afraid of dropping into the Crucible at some point, or if you still have an opportunity to go to the offline event in the Western Clash.
It's crazy to think about. I mean, we look at Fnatic and they have 2 losses now, and suddenly people are judging them as this mid-tier team, right? But they're still our number 2 team right now in terms of the standings, and that's how close everyone is and how dramatic a win or a loss can be. So yes, definitely, that could weigh on them, especially Chris, who was talking about it on Twitter towards the end of last year. He just wants to go to LAN this year. That's one of his big, major goals, that him and his team want to go to LAN and be able to compete. And honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing Chris at LAN. It's always fun to see him.
It brings us back to our next series here today when we have Tricked Esports playing, coming in this year and saying, hey guys, we really want to go to offline events. We're going to go more try-hard this year. And they look good playing, but then they lose one match after another, and it really seems to be a bit odd at times. But for now, we are, of course, focusing more on Zealots and Leftovers. Both of them would also love to attend the offline events here. But for now, the Zealots are the only ones who can still, in theory, make that happen. And they have Chris on Hanzo here to the left, Mopsio on ETC, Shat on Rhaegar, Zamani on Blaze, and ADRD on Medivh.
Leftovers on the right, DAB playing Li Ming, Lubber on Murden, Linked on Uther, Bletney on Tychus, and Bodibos playing Dahaka.
Time for ADRD to once again shine on Medivh and Zomni on Blaze. Now, Blaze is still a fascinating hero to me. We have been highlighting several times now how much of an impact he had in the European meta, and he starts to get more and more traction also in Korea and North America, even though he doesn't have the same amount of games played there by a long shot that he has in Europe yet. But thinking about that, Leftovers won 2 maps now in 2018, and both of these maps they played Blaze. How by now Zarmany picks him immediately as a first pick, as they have the chance for Towers of Doom. It really just shows how strong that hero is, and mostly it's around his proficiency as a solo laner, but also just his heroic ability. Bunker plays are absolutely fantastic in these long sustained fights that we currently see.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where I almost question whether or not he might be a little bit too strong. Being able to soak double waves while be playing on that character, being able to drop in the bunkers is just absolutely devastating, and you see that reflected in other plays in the top laner. So something to consider and watch. Granted, it's early. You never want to jump too quick on the gun there, but Blaze right now is definitely strong for a reason.
Yeah, I feel if anything, then it's mostly Bunker that is too much of an issue. The armor might be a bit too much here, but that's something to be evaluated another day. But it's definitely a lot of data that is currently tickling in on the pro level, where if you can play around Bunker, you have a lot of sustain. AD already finds himself in trouble, and that could actually be his demise, but he's able to move through the portal here. Bit of attempted portal control here, and the stuns were also stacked, but ADRD was still able to find a small window in which he could use the portal and escape. Should have.
I always have admiration for these Medivhs that are able to be aggressive with their positioning, but just know that they have the timing to drop down the Force of Will and make sure to get the escape there. Medivh having such a low health pool could be a bit worrisome if you ever get caught out, but nonetheless, ADRD gets away and heads back to soaking, and he'll go ahead and make sure to keep his team even in experience while staying on that Medivh. Level 7 coming around the corner wing is that Master's Touch will always be one of the main things that we point out when watching a Medivh player.
But Leftovers are starting things off strong. They take the first camp, they escorted it into the structures. Lauber a bit too quick with the Stormbolt here, needs to hold that back a little bit further, but still putting pressure onto ADRD. And now the rotation comes in. ETC is there now. Mopsio gets the Force of Will. Zarmany goes in as well, going straight for Li Ming. And Blickitney is also incredibly low, but gets stopped cold by Linked and Lauber.
Ooh, careful there. ADRD also taking a bit of a poke from DAB. Risky situation, but Dehaka's able to turn around here as he sends a wave towards the top lane. Blaze will be able to capture that. And now our 3 Alter Phase will spawn. No team has actually started the sappers on the left side here. So Zealots look like they will not be grabbing it, and Leftovers have not invaded either.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant earlier. The camp taken by Leftovers, whereas the Zealots didn't take theirs. And the towers, as you can see, are very low. So that's experience that is easy to be taken. An exchange attempt up to the top. Blaze is already channeling, but we have ADRD interrupting Dehaka on the channel. Now they're trying again, and they get both shots apparently. Dehaka nearly about to complete the channel to the top. Blickitney is waiting for ADRD to pop back out. He doesn't do it, plays it safe, and therefore Leftovers claim the first 2 altars, whereas the Zealots only get 1.
Quick and clean between both of our teams there. Slight lead for Leftovers, 36 to 32. And continue to watch this top lane. It seems like Dehaka in that lane is always praying that Blaze will go and disappear. That way he can push in the lane, because it seems like Blaze so far has been stopping him in his tracks. It's mostly that global that you're playing for whenever you grab that Dehaka.
And as we're seeing Zealots now trying to set up these rotations to the right and interrupting the camp captured, Mercenary camp, we also have to highlight Hanzo again. Chris is already moving in here, trying to push them back. Dehaka could of course move in, ETC goes for it, portal is there, but Leftovers, they claim the camp. And Dehaka actually moved down, so now they lose experience at the top lane. That's a problem. That wave is already pushed out. Blaze is pushing the wall in, and Dehaka did not get any value by moving down to the bottom and trying to join a 4 versus 4 battle. That never really happened.
Going to be missing a little bit of experience. About a quarter there, but still something Zealots can be happy with. Leftovers have a chance to even that out with a turret on the bottom, but Hanzo and Rhaegar are clearing that out pretty darn quickly. So Zealots right now in their early game doing a little bit better. Getting ahead on their opponents, moving towards that 10, even threatening some engages with this portal into an ETC following up. Chris really enjoying that engage by the bottom right sappers, by the way, as he got a couple of stacks out of that. Redemption curling sitting at 8 of the 12 he needs.
Yeah, and Hanzo is, as I said before, the hero that they play by far the most. 68% play rate for them. They played 22 games and they played Hanzo in 15 of those. So pretty impressive how much they actually focus on Hanzo here. And they're fairly successful with him as well, sitting at roughly 50%, which is pretty good given their overall track record of 9 wins and 13 losses. So definitely a staple of their composition. I'm a bit surprised that teams don't even ban him out against them. That's at least one of the things you could consider. But so far it doesn't really feel like Leftovers had too much problem dealing with him. So yeah, exchange with the alters, 1 each. So we have 28 against 32 points in the core. Slightly inexperienced for the Zealots. And not a single kill yet.
Mopsio goes in, fits face melt, knocks back a target. Link able to go on the side here to make sure targets do stay alive. And with turrets being there, Mopsio has to escape, but I like the attempt. ADRD and Mopsio working together. Synergy starting to go up a little bit. We saw in week 2 they tried to run the same composition, and it just seemed to be a little bit off. They've been working on their Medivh play, it looks like, with the synergy that is needed for your teammates to be effective with, as Zealots keep up that aggression, take away some sappers here. 10 right around the corner as both our teams are heading towards it.
You know, you're talking about Medivh, and ADRD, of course, is known for his Medivh play, and it's a hero that they played back then with Expert, they now play with Zealots. This is the 5th time that they play Medivh. They played Medivh 4 times before, and they lost every single one of them.
Wow.
Every game. ADRD has not won a Medivh game in 2018 yet.
That is weird to say in here.
Yeah.
ADRD has not won with Medivh. It feels wrong, like I'm actually lying.
It actually, if you consider how 2017 went, it definitely feels wrong. But it holds true so far. Let's see if this game changes it all. For now, we're seeing the heroic abilities captured by Leftovers. And of course, we're seeing Moshpit now for Zealots. ETC holding back his own heroic a bit. And that's, of course, a pretty dangerous comp here as well. You have Hanzo's arrow. We all know how good Chris is with that heroic ability, that he's able to usually land 2-3 stuns at least. And then you can follow that up with a power slide, a mosh pit, and also the ley line.
1 altar for the grabbing. Up at 8 seconds. Blaze pushes in middle lane. No one clears it up for Leftovers, so they're missing an experience here. Zarmany comes in, finds Labber. Labber will drop down a Stormbolt. Dahaka gets top push in as well. We'll see if he comes in. Odin is used here. Poke from afar, and here comes Dahaka.
Early Odin already. The drag against Hanzo. Cleanse comes out. And immediately the aggression. Podibos able to move out here. Mopsio with a quick ult, but the problem is that he didn't get too much done here, and the Divine Shield is already on the front line. The kill against Rhaegar confirms the first blood for Leftovers as they try to go in and drop Zarmany as well. He's still on the run. A Stormbolt on a drag would have also ensured his death. That's not quite happening. ADRD is still flying around, but he can't, of course, interrupt this one. Yeah. The Kidney gets the altar. Well done here. They could have even been worse for Zealots, to be honest. There was only 1 death, and it was the one against Rhaegar by Lauber, but that could have been way worse.
Yeah, the mosh pit coming in there for Zealots, but no follow-up available as they were actually zoned out by both Lauber and the bunker of Zarmany, actually keeping them away from the fight as they were on the left side. They would have to go through the bunker to the right, then get the damage in, and have to sit in front of a Murd. And a little unfortunate, a little bit mistiming between the heroics there, and Zealots lose out on a member and are behind 32-24. And with that kill, the experience for the Leftovers has tied up.
Yeah, it has tied up, and they have taken an 8-point lead on the core damage. 32 points for Leftovers, 24 for Zealots. Now the camp taken by Zealots towards the bottom left side, so they're attempting to get some pressure against the structures themselves, but the Leftovers are opening up the map. Medivh with an attempt to overplay. Zarmany, the jet propulsion, doesn't connect though.
Not connecting, made it hard for Mopsio to go in, so Zealots back up.
Dahaka slowing down Blaze on the rotation to the top. Drags him in, so no experience through the wave that we see up there. Job well done. These small things are really what gets your team ahead. Making sure that you push a wave out, that you slow down your opponent's rotation, and so they net a bit extra experience compared to the Zealots. But there's still an attempt for a fight down here. Lauber has to jump out. Needs to be careful here, especially with ADRD now also moving in from the top.
Yeah, some poke going to be coming in here. Ooh, ADRD wants to go in. Arrow comes out, and it connects with Uther, which stuns out the Murden as well. And with a face melt, ETC is able to confirm the kill.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely asked for this a bit. That was an opportunity for Link to maybe get the Divine Shield out, but he was stunned out. And it comes back to Chris and his heroic abilities. It's what we've been always saying here. He just knows when to land those and how, and that's what he did. And now the Zealots are trying to go in deep with the portal, but already Kidney with Odin being used, trying to pressure them back, and that is going to save them, at least for now. The Bell Tower, maybe even a kill. Podibos is trying to move in and connect the drag. not successful here. They have also Cleanse coming out, and in the meantime, AD already completing his Master's Touch.
Yes, but here comes Zarmany on Blaze, coming in with the flank, but he's going to take some of the small amount of time he has here to put some damage out, but finally Tychus will expire on duration, but here is Lauber showing up to fight. He goes around the back corner, jumps on top of Blaze, but Mopsio takes the opportunity to dive in. He drops a power slide and hits the Li Ming.
Yeah, there's the mosh pit. Divine Shield is already out. Okay, that's interrupted so far. Alter is not getting channel. Mopsio is in a bit of trouble, gets the Ancestral immediately, but Lauber is also up at the front, needs to be careful, jumps out. Stormbolt could be used here. Shat is starting the channel. Is he going to be interrupted? Yes, indeed, but Link is very far out, and he is going to fall. Can he keep them alive, though? Can they get the counter kill against Mopsio, maybe? He's low already in mana, but he's still able to move away here. Lauber himself in trouble, just barely jumping out. And this is the Zealots going for the channel, and they complete it. Get the altar, have the lead in experience, and are starting to close the gap in core damage.
DAB was so close to just popping off there. If that reset had come on ETC, he would have flung himself forward and gotten a few kills. Good heads-up play there by Medivh, keeping ETC alive, the Ancestor healing being important as well, and then Mopsio realizing, okay, we've done all that we can, kiting back to his team and getting healed up, allowing for Zealots to grab a few shots on the core. It is 28-24.
And right now, it's still in a spot where it's very likely that the next fight is still going to happen on even talents. It depends a bit on how much experience can be soaked here. But Leftovers are now... They are quite a bit behind, so they need to be cautious. In the objective, they're still leading, but if they lose the bell tower at the bot lane, they're going to lose out on some of the momentum here. We have at the top lane now also another camp taken by Blaze himself. So Leftovers, they need to find a kill. And as you said, if they can get the resets on Li Ming, then they might be able to pop off in these fights, and DAB could maybe commit a kill or two. But they need to get those, and they're trying to do exactly that against Hanzo. But a nice shield from Medivh comes in. Force of Will keeps him alive.
Yeah, this bell tower is starting to become a bit of a liability, though. Leftovers, knowing they have to keep it alive and well, are doing their best to defend as much as possible, while Zealots keep bringing in the pressure. And here's where it becomes a difficult situation for Leftovers. 2 ultra spawn, 1 to the top left and 2 to the top right. And with the wave pushing in, a 16 about to hit for Zealots, they are in a spot where they can contest both.
And the portals are really doing work right now. Very aggressive portals set up by ADRD, and Mopsio is always there, and you have to be cautious that you're not getting caught in a mosh pit. And the arrow combo is, of course, also super important to note here. So the Haka with a channel at the top. Blaze is already to the top left, so that's going to be the even exchange. The question just remains who grabs the ult at the bottom. Actually, Blake Kidney is attempting to interrupt Zarmany at the top.
He gets
so
it.
That is changing things up a little bit. Mopsio is interrupted. Okay, Stormbolt comes in, and now they're trying to make the play for the top left instead. That could work out. Another interrupt. Zarmany faces off against Tychus, drops the bunker, but to be honest, if nobody comes up top, that's going to be a huge problem. ETC starting to make a rotation. That might be too late. Billy Kidney with the attempt to channel, and they are going to grab this one.
Wow, and Leftovers also still delaying the south one, too. That means the Zealots could rotate down and try to fight there, too, with Dehaka later on. Linked, however, does get pinched to the side, drops Divine Shield just to stay alive, but Mopsio will have a power slide soon to chase him down. Link continues to try to escape, but he falls.
Yeah, he was at the end only trying to buy themselves some time. But now, of course, there is still one channel up, but we already have the Leftovers just focusing on the top. And I like that. Identifying that there is going to be a problem with Uther, he is going to fall, so at least try to get something out of the top lane where you can now pressure in. Because very likely they're going to, we can see it right here, they're going to lose the bell tower at the bot lane. So they still need to try and play around that a bit. But they got 2 out of the 3 altars, and that's actually big, that's huge.
That's something that going into it, you would not have thought Leftovers would get. If at most, they would have been lucky to get 1. But the control and the decision to put Tychus in the top, being able to be against Blaze, they steal away an altar, and it allows them to stay in the lead, 23-16. However, they need to be a bit careful here. Sapper's pushing in.
Yeah, Sapper's are going in, and they're trying to get also the kill. But Big Kidney is about to fall here. He's nearly dead, barely gets healed. The Ancestral comes through. Mopsio tries to get the kill, goes a little bit too deep. Mopsio is way too far out, gets the mosh pit. Can they take him down, though? Mopsio gets the Force of Will. Unbelievable that he survives this. Li Ming is down, and so is Muradin. The 3rd kill against Tychus. From the Zealots' perspective, that was just a dream come true. They have an open mid lane now that they can take, but that could have been done way better by Leftovers.
Medivh, however, coming in just to make sure that the ETC would not fall. Ancestral Healing gets used on Chris. We have Mopsio move forward. He looks like he's going to be going down. Lauber steps forward to body block him, but that gives Mopsio the perfect mosh pit. Turns around, gets 3 in the corner, forwards the blood last second to make sure that there was going to be nobody cleaning him up, and ETC survives. Leftovers, not so lucky.
I mean, Tychus getting so much damage put on him before the fight even starts was already an issue, but now all of the bell towers are taken, the barrage starts. You can't just clump up around ETC with the 3 heroes that can interrupt him. Granted, Tychus could have used a grenade, but it was on cooldown. But there was no reason for everybody to be this close to ETC and allow him to get the mosh pit off there. Mopsio overcommitted when he went in and tried to get the kill, so he found himself in the death zone and he lost a lot of his hit points. If they played this a little bit slower, they should have taken the kill here, but now Zealots have taken a massive, massive lead. First of all, they've taken the lead in points on the course, 16 to 14 in their favor, but they're also just a smidgen away from level 20. And they still hold most of the bell towers on the map. Zealots are in a fantastic spot.
They get 6 shots here too, dropping Leftovers down to 8. They give away 1 altar, 2 shots go over to Leftovers, so there's 14 still on the health here for Zealots.
That comes back to the experience.
Oh, the Sappers making it 2.
The growth of the team that we talked about earlier. In a situation like this, they just got a bit too, I don't know, maybe too anxious to make a play. Because the problem is they got pressured on most lanes, and we can see that with them losing the bell towers now. And now they are 2 levels behind. They will have to fight against Storm Talons. There's just no way around it. The boss has been taken just now for his, like, they did everything correct. 14 against 5 points. You can still take that as leftovers, but you need to find a kill. And that's going to be rough against ADRD and his shields.
They're going to have to find a kill. They're going to have to find level 20. They got the Sappers pushing in. Leftovers in a very frustrating situation. They pop Odin here just to stop the Sappers pushing in. They even bring in Potibus, trying to hit a drag so he can pull somebody underneath the kill zone. Lauber continues about the damage, but Chris goes in for play of the game. He gets a snipe on Li Ming.
Yeah, Li Ming is down. Potibus is nearly dead. Lauber barely surviving thanks to the Divine Shield. But this is, of course, still bad news, as you can see. 5 versus 4. Fighting against the level 20 is never fun. And now we are seeing them just falling farther and farther behind. With the death of Li Ming, they're missing out on a lot of damage and poke. The Haka now went to the top trying to reclaim the bell tower. Because you know that the next move out of the gate for the Zealots is to reclaim the bell tower in the middle and start the barrage again. But they don't even have to. I mean, they have so many options of winning this. They go into the bell tower, they try to take it here. Chris is in a bit of trouble, but it's not enough. A desperate attempt by Leftovers to fight a 4 versus 5, being a talent down, a Storm talent at that. Link is dead. AD already moved in for the kill. And no matter what happens here, it looks more and more like that the Zealots are going to have an easy victory here. And indeed they do.
They are. Even if somehow, some way, a bell tower was taken away, they would still have 2 altars to grab. 4 shots flinging across the field here, and a channel to boot. Zealots fight back here after going down 0-1 against Leftovers, and they tie up the series 1-1.
Well done by the Zealots. And we're focusing a bit on Leftovers since we're still watching their transition from coming into HGC and lacking a lot of experience to now starting to take maps. But from their perspective, that was avoidable. They were in a really good spot. They put the pressure on the entire time. They played it well. And then in the 1-on-2 of the team's fights, they started to screw up, be a bit too aggressive, made small mistakes. But until the mid-game or the late mid-game, they did really well. For Leftovers, for Zealots, then